If you had a nightmare or if you knew that you would lose a loved one a couple days, months, weeks down the line, what would you do? Greetings from the heart of Jamaica. My name is Vanessa Scott, and in today's video we'll be recanting a moment with my aunt before she passed away last year, September. Today I'll be taking you on our last journey together, as well as be giving you some advice for grieving, especially as a caregiver. It is supernatural to grieve someone's death like months, weeks, years, sometimes even decades after they're gone. But it's way more serious when the person tells you face to face, looking you dead in the eye, telling you that I will not be here anymore. Like, that literally just cuts you in two, especially if they mean the world to you. And that is exactly what I experienced with my aunt last year. For starters, I would say the most important tip for caregivers is to seek out an oasis. Pretty much somebody that will be able to pour into you as you pour into your service to your family member, loved one, or friend. Being a caregiver is pretty hard. It's really stressing. It is physically draining. It's mentally draining. You're gonna need somebody that's gonna pour back all the energy into you that you've been dedicating your service, your time, your energies, and your effort to make sure that you give the best care possible to your family member. You need to do that for yourself. You need to have somebody that can do that for you, because at the end of the day, sometimes you will get to finish feeding the person, you will get to finish motivating the person, and you will definitely need an oasis to refill your reservoir. Your oasis can come in the form of the Bible. Your oasis can come in the form of a best friend. During that time, my oasis was a relationship with God.
1 verse 17.
Let's read the line first.
Okay, now.
And I said, a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea.
And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away.
My second tip to help you go through the grieving process as a caregiver for your loved one is get a hobby outside of taking care of your loved one, because when your loved one is gone, that will be the only thing that you would have done with your life, and there would have been other things that you would have had to get done. There is no way on this planet that a hobby will replace the joy that you will feel from being in the presence of that person. The void that that person leaves in your life will never be filled by these things. However, it will prevent you from being consumed by their illness, their ailments, and also to prevent the feeling of emptiness and nothingness and purposelessness. You see, when my aunt told me that we were going to a place, she told me that I was gonna like it. She told me it was gonna be up my alley, and this was definitely it. The flora, the fauna, the crickets, and the tree frogs chirping. It's splendid, but I'm gonna turn the audio down so I can hear her voice and her kids can hear her voice when they watch this video.
And here's my beautiful aunt. The world would like to know, how are you so beautiful?
See what my aunt did right there? That will bring us to tip number 3. Do not be too clingy to your loved one because you know they're gonna go. It makes them feel smothered, and it reminds them constantly that their days are numbered. Instead, give them their space when they need the space, and draw near when they need you near. Let's take some time to admire this property before we get into any other tip. Guys, do you hear that? That's a beautiful sound of tree frogs singing. Before me right now is their bar area, so you can get your drinks and stuff. Right underneath that arch leads to an amazing maze of garden, and it leads also down to the pool and eating area. But for now, we're just gonna go and onboard the vehicle.
We just onboarding. We onboarding.
Is it just me, or is this view breathtaking? Guys, I submit to you that the moment my aunt and I stepped on this property, we both sighed and exclaimed and shared the same sentiment that this place has definitely been blessed. Like, it feels like a piece of the Garden of Eden has been stumbled upon. Superbly gorgeous. And even the history of it is beautiful. When I spoke to the owners of the property, particularly Mr. Sinclair, He shared with me that when the land was purchased, people laughed at him, saying it was a bad investment. But who's laughing now? Beautiful,
garden
beautiful
goals.
resort, and proof that vision beats resources every
garden
single
goals.
time. No matter how much you have, if you lack the vision to see something through, your resources means nothing. As I'm editing this video, I feel like I'm there all over again. This was so breathtaking and beautiful, and the ambiance was so holistic and just nature junkies, go for it. Whenever you visit Jamaica, go for it. Come to Jamaica and visit Tapioca Village. It is a place. At the time when we visited, there were some things that I felt though that they could improve on. However, this was post-pandemic destruction, so pretty much, this wasn't their best foot forward. But can you imagine, this wasn't their best foot forward, and I enjoyed it and I thought it was beautiful. I can't wait to actually go back to see the improvements. Alright guys, so I'm about to give you guys a mini tour of our cabin, as well as to brief you about why we were visiting Tapioca Village. So Tapioca Village is a beautiful resort that has a lot of medicinal herbs and plants. It also has accommodations such as cabins. You can camp there. You can do pretty much anything there really. They have European style rooms. They have bread and breakfast styles, option there. But I'm giving you a tour of the mini fridge that was in our cabin because we were going to be meeting up with a naturopathic doctor to learn how to prepare stuff, particularly a keto-friendly diet for cancer patients. As my aunt's cancer was worsening, we were trying, to change her diet a bit and just make sure that she was getting her relevant nutrients, as well as improving and incorporating cancer fighting things. So yeah, that's why we have a fridge stocked with lots of green veggies, and the cabins, as you would have seen, would have a lot of different vegetables as well, and we were just pretty much juicing and making soups and beverages. Now this is just in the bathroom. They provide you with a soap. You have a toilet there. They provide you with toilet paper, even though we already brought ours. And behind the shower curtain, as you will see, they have a water heating machine which is connected to their reservoir. So yes, this resort has its own water that is pumped from their water aquifer, as well as their private river. It's really cool. I saw a few solar panels there, so I believe that their energy is either mostly or partially supplied by solar power.
Happy Sabbath. I'm very tired and I would like to go to my bed.
Good morning. Happy Sabbath morning. It's approximately 6:17 a.m. and we're giving the Lord thanks for waking us up in our right minds. I would like to pray with you guys before we go on our morning walk, and then we'll be sharing a bit more today as to why we're here. If my aunt is coming, sorry, bow your heads. Thank you, Abba Father, for waking me up this morning, for waking up all of those that will view this in the morning, and just giving them the ability to recall things, just waking them up in their right minds, oh God, and the right frame of mind to worship you in spirit and in truth. Father, I pray that they shall feel blessed in their going out and in their coming in. I pray, oh God, that everything that they set their hands to shall prosper. And I pray that if they're watching this on a Sabbath, that they shall feel your Holy Spirit dwelling with them and resting upon them on that Sabbath. I pray, oh God, that you will be with them in trouble. And I pray, oh God, that you will minister unto their spirits through your word and through everything, like you've been ministering unto me through these 21 days prayer and fasting. Well, we've only come to about day 6, but you have so richly blessed us, and we are giving you thanks for the strength and endurance to go through this and to be able to connect with you and come closer to you. In the name of Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen. While I was in the room ensuring that my aunt would have her sorbet ready by the time that they would get back, everybody went on the hike before me, and by everybody I meant doctor and my aunt.
Say good morning, guys.
Due to my aunt feeling dizzy, we were coming back early from our hike along one of the many hiking trails that Tapioca Village has. We were about to go and sit at the main area that we originally saw. And for some reason, I'm not a cat person, but everywhere I go, I find a cat. By this time of the day, our Sabbath school is done, as well as our devotional and our sermon. And my aunt has been resting for like quite some time. She didn't want to come by the pool again. She just wanted to stay in her room and sleep. So now it's time to do the next half of the property. Actually, because I was bored and I really didn't want to disturb her sleep, as well as she literally told me, "You're young, go live your life and stop bothering with an old lady." Harsh words, but I was really hovering over her. Like, I didn't want her to go 1 second without me checking in on her to see if she wanted anything. But look at this place. I was in paradise and it literally could not take my mind off the fact that I just wanted my aunt healed. I just wanted my aunt to be here, to be healthy. This is a water hyacinth. It's often mistaken for water lilies, but this resort uses it as biogas. So it's really cool that they're tapping into renewable energy and saving our planet. These are some ferns that are growing alongside the water hyacinths. For those of you who are new to gardening and all things nature, this is a hydroponic system. Basically what happens is these plants are situated in pots, but they have no soil in them. So what happens is the water is run through the poles that you see them stuck down into. So they'll collect whatever water that they need, and that is pretty much how they're grown. Pine needles not only clear chest congestion, but improve the production of red blood cells. Lemongrass is good for fever and colds. Crotons is good for constipation. So yep, you're looking at a natural laxative right there. This arch is just so gorgeous. Oh my gosh, like how many angles can this be gorgeous? This is illegal. This is so illegal. Beautiful, just beautiful. I don't remember which tip we're supposed to be on right now, but in hindsight, I have to come to reconcile with the fact that even though I wanted her to still be here, she literally said, "I am tired." And sometimes your relative is gonna do that. Sometimes they know when they're gonna go and they're gonna tell you if they're trying to prepare you, and it's gonna hurt. It almost feels as though you're engulfed in a situation where you're trying to hold on to them so tightly and you're also trying to let go simultaneously. And honestly, it messed with my mental space. I went on fasting, hoping for a turnaround, and my aunt was like, "Why are you fasting? It's not your fasting that is gonna cause God to change his mind or cause me to change my mind." You understand? Like, she had to sit me down and say, "Hey, I love you, but I just want to rest. I want to go home. I am tired. And then it hit me. I was being selfish. She had so much pain. She was experiencing dizziness. She oftentimes was throwing up uncontrollably, could not keep anything down. We had to be careful what we would introduce to her diet. We had to be careful with every little thing. We had to make sure that she was like a little egg that we were trying to protect, that we were trying to nurture. And she was tired of feeling like she was in a state of incubating. She was feeling like she was a burden, even though we never saw it that way. That's how she felt, like she wasn't capable of taking care of her own self, capable of taking care of her children, capable of going back to work and being the boss chick that she was in her field. When we are taking care of our loved ones, may we never put our wants, our desires, may we never approach it with a me, self-centered type of attitude where we put so much pressure on the patient, so much pressure on them to get better so that we can feel good about ourselves, so that we can be happy, so that we don't have to cry at their funeral. Then and there, the journey to the grave will be easier for them, and grieving will be easier for you. Come to think of it, I don't think that's my last tip. I don't think my last tip that I said was my last tip was my last tip, because there's just so much that you guys will need to prepare for if you're going to be being a caregiver to your dying loved one. One of the things that I realized heightened my anxiety was having my stress ball nearby. I had to literally put it away because every time I looked at it, I felt like I was going to be anxious and I was going to need it. And whenever I would ignore it, whenever I was running up and down trying to get stuff done, you know, I would feel anxious, but I would pray and the feeling of anxiety would just leave me. But whenever I saw the stress ball, I was like so stressed out. So please, please, please leave your stress ball. And my phone was vibrating because my aunt was calling me to let me know that, you know, she was ready for me to come and help her out with her hydrotherapy. So what hydrotherapy is, you know, there are several types of hydrotherapy, but the type that we were doing at Tapioca was pretty much we were doing a hot and cold therapy where around her head was some cold rags. So pretty much that's supposed to pull blood flow from the brain, and the feet were submerged into water that was around 43 degrees Celsius, anywhere between 43 and 50. I don't remember, it's been so long since, but the therapy would involve like a hot and cold type of thing, feet being hot, the head being warm. That was supposed to pull blood supply temporarily from the brain, so that, you know, whatever blood the brain would need, it would take it for itself rather than all of that blood going to feed the tumors that were there. I need to like probably do a separate video to break down and explain what this was, but it essentially was aimed at shrinking the size of the tumors that were in her brain naturally, because they were all over the place. So it would be impossible to do a surgery because then you'd have to cut everywhere in her head. That was so private that I didn't even think to film, so I couldn't even give you a demonstration because I wanted to make sure I was paying attention to my aunt and, you know, making her as comfortable as possible. At this point, I was heading back to the room. Breast cancer is something I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. It is so taxing to the mind as well as the body. After making coconut milk, juicing a lot of vegetables and fruits, making soup, it was time for me to get dressed and go to the pool and cool off. The kitchen was so hot, I needed to go splash. Cue music! What is that transition thing that TikTokers do nowadays? Oh wait, yeah, this. Something like this. Not me holding a razor. Now that I was pool ready, it was time to go and get my well-deserved splash. The craziest thing happened while I was by the pool. So apparently some of the kids that were there, they asked why I wasn't swimming. I told them I can't swim. One of the guys there, he was autistic. Long story short, he thought if he could teach me how to swim, then I would like him. However, he almost drowned me. He literally yanked me into water and his cousin had to jump out and come and save me. The saddest thing ever is that he didn't even realize what he was doing. He didn't understand that he was actually drowning me. In his mind, he was trying to help me, but he didn't realize my facial expression. He didn't realize that, oh my gosh, I'm literally scared out of my mind, you know. So I learned something new, like don't swim with autistic people. He was sweet afterwards though when his family member explained, and he even cried and apologized a million times. Auntie, it was a pleasure to serve you in this life. I thank God that I was blessed with the pleasure of knowing you and partially raised by you. Get your well-deserved rest, pretty girl, and may light perpetual shine on you. I love you with all that I am. I'm doing my best to keep the promises that I made